It's going to be a very, very intense journey.
Hey, buddy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 162 of the Frameskip podcast. I am Andie Eller, and I am joined by the full crew for once. I think it's been a while since we've had everybody on simultaneously. Wow. There you go. Speaking of, it's been a while. Seth, Slake House, what's going on?
Not much, man. Just got off from a nice heavy hunt session. So, yeah.
Nice.
I'm all fired up.
Speaking of fired up, Coach, you're fired up. You got great internet. What's going on?
Yeah, it just goes in and out sometimes, but yeah. So luckily, about 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, I checked it. We're all good.
That's the saying everybody should have. We're all good. We're all good.
We're all good.
And speaking of good, George is also good. George from Shortbox Summary. George, how are you?
I'm great. Sorry, I don't want to be better than other people. I'm good.
You should have said you're amazing.
I'm fucking incredible.
I'm better than the rest of you.
No. I've been working a lot lately. That's been, but I'm extremely passionate about this project I'm working on. So it hasn't felt like work, but man, I'm tired and my brain is strapped from all the shit I've had to do. But besides that, A+, can't complain.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I've been really busy with work recently and just like kind of drained from everything going on just in my life across the board, just like so busy in different ways. So
yeah. Really quick, not to rackjack your podcast here, Austin, because you're the host, but that's why we sometimes don't release an episode. It's because we're really tired from the things we do. It's not like, oh shit, we couldn't get together, or oh shit, we're like mad at each other, or there's nothing to talk about, or we hate our audience. Yeah. It's literally like, no, I'm too physically defeated by my day that I can't possibly imagine sitting in front of a microphone for 62 to 82 minutes. So,
dude, I have a interview series tomorrow for like a pretty big promotion, and it would put me on 8 hours, 5 days a week, right? Instead of 12 hours, 3 or 4 days a week. And I was preparing for it. I was in the middle of getting a certification, and then I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm done. Whatever happens, happens.
So this is actually a great topic. What are all of your approaches to interviews? Because I'm the kind of guy who I've never prepared anything for an interview. Like I've always, of course, researched the company and like who I'm going to be talking to. So I guess I shouldn't say I've never prepared anything, but like I don't have necessarily prepared answers for questions. Like I don't go online and look up the questions that are commonly asked and prepare answers for them. I've just never done that because I feel like it's not genuine, but I could be wrong. George, what do you do with interviews?
First thing I do if I have an interview, I like to interview a lot just because I feel like it's a skill, and if you don't use it, you lose it. And I love my job. I have no intention of ever leaving my job, but sometimes you get hit up by people, and you're like, well, maybe. I actually got approached to be like a lead creative for the marketing department for a video game publisher that I really, really like. And I think it was a hybrid role, and I no longer live in San Francisco. So that was going to be like I couldn't take the job without moving back to California. But still, I wanted to like see it, like I wanted to see if I could get the job. So the first thing I do when I have an important job interview is I immediately line up a job interview that I don't care anything about. And that's like my dry run, my practice run. And I try to time it so that's like a day before and just see how that goes. And then besides that, I have to like present my portfolio, which is like my body of work showing the range of work I'm capable of producing. So I work in advertising. I'm a copywriter. And I go over my portfolio the night before with like a fine-tooth comb, and I'm constantly swapping stuff in, swapping stuff out, making sure I have at least like 90 seconds worth of things to say about each piece. And honestly, it's great because I work in such a creative field, everyone understands like, oh, this guy can write social, this guy can write a headline, this guy can write a script. Like we've seen that work. It's always the extra shit that they get really excited about. So it's like this podcast has gotten me interviews. This podcast has gotten me jobs. I feel like this podcast got me a job as a copywriter for Humble Bundle. You know, like just, oh, you talk about video games on a weekly basis. You understand the industry. You understand like the culture. You can talk like it's just random shit like that. So making sure I have cool extracurriculars in my portfolio, like that's an incredibly important thing. It's the stuff you do outside of work that usually makes a difference in my line of work.
Yeah. Coach, I guess you don't really you haven't really had too many interviews recently, but what do you typically do?
So I've had a couple interviews for positions within my school, but I've also when I was department head for math, I'd also be in on the interviews. So I got to see both sides. And there's always keywords that the assistant principal or the counselors or whoever's in the interview are looking for. So you just have to know how to answer the questions, right? And so you just have to make sure to. Every interview is almost the same, kind of, I guess, at least for teacher wise, you know. So I was, I interviewed a couple years ago it's kind of like administration. They call it a Sky Coach. It's right before you get to assistant principal. Because I'm like, oh, yay, big money, right? And so did the first interview, too easy, right? Came back for the second interview, and then they're like, well, you need to prepare a lesson / discussion for like 45 minutes, and you're going to have teachers, you're going to have administration, you're going to have students.
So it's like a test.
So this is during spring break I'm like, nah, I'm good. Teacher's fine with me.
That's the worst, man. When like the interview turns into like an actual job assignment. I've had to do that. I worked for a company that had like Logitech as a client. They were like, show us your gaming skill. Like, show us what you know about gaming. I'm like, that's what the fucking portfolio is for, actually. So I don't have to do this. And they like made me put together like a presentation about how I would market Logitech on social media posts. And so it's just, I like definitely build for that in my first week, you know, where I was just like, all right, where can I find like 3 extra hours and like maybe get a little overtime? Because I'm like, dude, like you made me do work as opposed to just like having a conversation with me. That's just the worst. Absolute pits. Yeah,
I've had one like that too. This was years ago, but I did a interview for our PR job, and it was the same thing. It was like, take this and, you know, figure out the social media strategy, write it all down, like essentially write out the posts and what you would do, and you know, the press release and like all this stuff. And I was like, God, is this really worth it? Like just interview me. You can look at my qualifications. So Seth, I know you mentioned you dropped off preparing for this one. What do you normally just go straight for it? What do you do?
Well, let me tell you something. Your boy is a rock solid interviewer.
You lock in.
I do lock in. I lock the fuck in. Now what's funny is that like my company likes to pretend that the interviews are real when they are completely sham interviews. One on the inside anyway, right? So like to get my lead spot, I had to go through an interview, right? And they're going to ask me stupid questions like, oh, explain a time when you did this, or explain a time when this was a challenge to you. I've worked with all these jackasses for 10 years, right? They know exactly my work history. They know exactly who I am. So, I mean, up to this point, I'm like, all right. I mean, this is super easy. Now, the interview to go from hourly to salary, this one tomorrow is what I would call a feat of strength and will, because I don't have one interview tomorrow. I have 3 separate 1-hour interviews tomorrow for the same job. And you would think that like this is normally when you have multiple interviews, it's like a tier system, right? Like we're going to drop a bunch of people off at the first one, then we're going to drop more people off at the second one. No. That's not what they're doing. They're giving me 3 separate interviews with 3 separate groups of people in the same day. So I have an interview from 10 to 11, and then from 1 to 2, and then from 2 to 3. So
Good God.
This is new. I don't know what to. I have no idea how I'm going to handle that.
If you're interviewing with your bros and like, so Seth, what would you say your biggest weakness is? And you're like, honestly, I think it's like knowing when to stop, just like always like doing this, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, are you sure it's not like your energy drink infused road rage that you exhibit in the hallways? And it's just like, fuck, are we taking this seriously or not, man? What are the rules here?
Well,
imagine
I think
if we were all interviewing Seth.
I mean, it might as well be,
How
right?
fun
Like,
that would be. That'd be fun.
straight up tomorrow in these interviews, 2 of my good buddies who are in the position that I'm interviewing for are going to be in those interviews. The other ones are going to be like, I'm asswipe HR people and managers and stuff like that, but and like everyone at my company is a good person. I don't have to be like worried about any of them. But I do think these interviews are like sham interviews. And I've told my manager that. She's going to be one of the people interviewing me. I'm like, do we really have to do this? I'm like, you guys know everything about me. I'm very open. But when
open
book. Yeah.
I've never hid how I felt about any of you or any of the tasks I'm asked to do.
But I think what's really important is, especially if you're interviewing for like a new company, is to be yourself and not put on like this facade of like, when I was going into my company, not once was I ever like, I've always been really passionate about making toilet paper. That's always been a real dream of mine. No, I'm like desperate. I need a job, And in my resume, they made me make a resume for this job, right? That I'm interviewing for. I've been here for 8 years. You guys, like, they say not to put on something on a resume that's like older than 5 years. So my resume is 1 page and it's like 4 or 5 lines, but it's got a picture of me in Disney World as a Jedi Knight in the corner of it. And just for funsies, I put a lightning bolt at the bottom of my resume. So, and that's what got me, it's like, why would you need a resume?
I had some bullshit line about like, I haven't lost a sock in laundry since 2009. I got more callbacks where like that was the first thing referenced. Oh, I read your header, like your cover letter, and I saw your resume, and that line about the sock was so funny. Like, I heard more about that than like my actual applicable experience to the position. Like, the things people care about, like, I don't know what it's like now. I haven't really had to apply for a job in the AI age where things get filtered out. And I've heard of a hack where you just like take the keywords from the actual job description and you just put it in super small font in white on like the document, just so like it gets cleared to the next stage and like actually gets put in front of a human to review.
That's like, I have read that. I think like on Reddit or something, and that seems like a rock solid strategy.
Yeah,
it does. I'm at a position where like I get approached by headhunters and recruiters and stuff where they're like, oh, hey, I've seen your experience. You've been working at this one place for 3 years. You haven't been fired. That's a great sign. Like working at a place for 3 years is like, it's like, I haven't had to do that dance, but like, man, it's just so weird applying to jobs now compared to 10 years ago when I first started getting into this shit. It's night and day.
The other thing that I do a lot, and like knowing how to talk to people and like engage them is a skill, like you were saying, George, and then it takes practice. One thing I'll do, if they ask me a question and I don't have an immediate response, I'll like buy time, right? Like that classic Michael Scott line. Like they'll ask me the question, I'm like, wow, that is a really great question, Joe. Thank you for asking that. What would my strategy be if blah blah blah? And by that time, if I don't have anything in my head, I know I got a problem. Right?
By the way, while I'm thinking about it, how are the wife and kids? And when it goes to the question,
like I think that sitting there and like scratching your head like, I don't know.
It's just so funny because like if you are being interviewed by like your jackass coworkers, where it's just like, that is a great question. Thank you so much for asking, Kyle. Sorry, I forgot your name's actually Kyle. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry for what I'm about to say. It was like, speaking of which, Kyle, do you still piss your pants the morning after you drink Jägermeister? Like, is that still a thing? It's just like, I don't know how you would take that seriously interviewing with friends.
I don't,
or not like, they're your friends, but like your close coworkers that like know you well.
A couple of them tomorrow, if they both show up, are like some of my close friends, but they're gonna be in the same room as managers. So I'm gonna that's gonna be even worse. 'Cause I'm gonna have to pretend like like they're not taking the piss out of me.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. I think I'm just gonna be exhausted tomorrow.
I'm gonna have to pretend I've never mooned them in the parking lot before, which is tough because like I have. Yeah.
Seth leans over to his friend and says, "Don't tell them about the cheese."
Yeah,
that's a callback. That's a 100-year-old or 100 episode callback.
You tell them about the bucket, I'll fucking kill you.
Yeah. So, but like I said, I was in the middle of getting a certification for projects, which is one of the programs that they use a lot in that position that I'm going for. And then, like, I don't know, man. I was like, you know what? Whatever happens. I'm cool with it. It's fine. Yeah. So,
well, I mean, Coach, you're a teacher. Like, at a certain point, studying doesn't matter anymore, right? Like,
no,
it doesn't. You wouldn't tell a kid to stay up all night studying the material if they've already studied it for 8 hours. It's like, dude, trust yourself. You know what you know.
Kids don't study anymore. Some do.
Okay.
There's a majority that do, but
that feels regulars, like a problem. But
yeah, your regulars. Yeah, that's why you have to be able to adjust the way you teach. You can't stay the same because kids are different. Each year you're going to get kids that are going to push you to your limit a little bit more than normal. And then some years you're going to have amazing students. You're going to be like, oh, okay, so this is why I got into teaching, right? So, but going back to the whole interview and stuff, every year we have one of our administrators come in and they come in and it's not an interview, but we basically are it's like a dog and pony
evaluation
show.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. And so you got the pre-evaluation and the post and all that stuff, right? So you could tell a new teacher because they dress like extra nice and their room, it's just like you go above and beyond. Now I just wear the same thing. And during the pre-conference, I tell them, I'm saying, I'm going to do what I always do. And I'm going to do that because if there is something that I need to change, you'll be able to change it. So if I try and do this amazing lesson of things that I normally don't do, well, if they don't work, then that it's on me, right? Yeah. But I do the things that do work. So it's a whole different mindset once you can tell like your older teachers because it's just like, And
that's the same. Yeah. Like showing up to a job on the first day, like wear like my nicest black jeans or like my pinstripes or something, then like the best button down I have. And then like by week 3, I'm like wearing like a Pearl Jam shirt that has holes in it, It's like just like, okay, I figured out the vibes here pretty quick and I just don't. I got it.
4 holes.
You gotta for Jeremy,
Well, Seth, best of luck on your interviews. That was a good detour.
Yeah.
I was curious what you guys thought about
that. We'll be thinking about you.
Yeah.
What would you say is your biggest weakness?
Mine?
Yeah, is it caring too much or?
Yeah, my biggest weakness is not knowing when to bring it down a level to the other people around me,
Yeah.
So this is my last bit on that. So a good friend of mine who I used to work with, I think she was like in high school or college or something at one point interviewing at Staples, like the office supply business. And they asked her that question and she told me the story. She responded back to the "what's your biggest weakness" thing by saying physical strength.
Pretty sweet.
Like, that's a pretty good answer, actually.
What's your biggest weakness? Fire. Pretty scared of fire. Hydrochloric acid.
Electricity.
Not the biggest fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being alone in a stock room at 12:30 in the morning and something falls over that like
Bullets.
I'm gonna fold. Yeah. Kryptonite. I mean, just kidding. I'm not Superman.
Oh my lord.
Man, Kryptonite would be a knockout answer if they ask you. That is really funny.
I remember interviewing because I always like thought I wanted to work at a GameStop, and actually I had a buddy who worked at GameStop. I needed some extra cash in college, and like we would just, we were in film classes together. We go to the bar after. We just talk video games for hours, and so he's just like, "Yeah, man, we're actually hiring. Like, you should come by and check it out." I was like, "Okay, cool." He's like, "Yeah, one thing, my manager's kind of a knob, so like just look out for that." I'm like, "Okay, I think I can handle it. Like, I've been talking to like nerds I don't like for a long time. Like, I can deal with this." And this guy treated working at GameStop like it was training for the fucking Olympics. Like he was just like such a weirdo about it. He's like, so a parent comes in, they ask about Pokemon. Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Which one do you recommend? I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm more of a silver guy. He's like, really? Why? I'm like, I think Ho-Ho's kind of lame comparatively. Like I feel like we just had like a Firebird in the first game, so like I just like that Lugia has more psychic options. He's like, I don't know if that's a good enough answer to convince a parent. I'm like, okay, man. Like I like, what the fuck do you want from me?
And George, if a parent brings in a copy of Heart Gold complete in box, how much do we give him? $1.50.
I mean, yeah. Back then it was
That's
like
too much.
Back then it was like $22.50, and like I just bought a copy on eBay that like I'm still not 100% sure if it's authentic or not, but I definitely bought it for authentic prices. So we'll see.
It's funny how that
Also,
was the dream though for like a lot of people of our generation. Like I definitely, when I was in high school, was like, oh, I really want to work at GameStop, and then you hear all these horror stories.
Oh,
of people
yeah.
working there.
Yeah.
Fabio worked at one, hated it. Seth,
You
worked
did,
at one,
right? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
But it's
Crazy.
like wanted to work there or like at a record store or like a comic book shop. I was just like,
Yeah.
I think I would hate work less if I was surrounded by things I loved. And then you realize, no, I don't hate work less. I just hate work. Actually, that's
still
my
work.
biggest weakness is work.
Well, for me, it had the opposite effect completely, though, is that like I worked at two different video game stores, and I don't think I ever played less games in my life than when I was working there, because the last thing I wanted to do was go home and play video games because I
Sure.
was done with them, you know?
Sure. I mean, that's like why like Short Box Summary hasn't released an episode in like over a year, and it's because like
Yeah.
I was creatively fulfilled at work. Like I don't need to do this in my spare time. Like you get enough video games at your day job. Like I totally understand like not wanting video games in your day. Like you don't want that to be your personality your entire life. So like, I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, good discussion, guys. Good story discussion. Coach, I want to run us through kind of what everybody's been up to the past few weeks. What have you had going on?
Since the last time I was on, bro, I just been going home and getting into bed, man. So if
Hell
I
yeah.
played anything, it was on my 3DS in bed.
I was going to say, I know you've been playing one game. You texted me
Yes.
that earlier. What have you been playing?
Pokemon X.
Ooh.
And the reason why I've
That
been playing
is a
that
solid
also
choice.
is I bring it to work. So I've been able to put I'm 25 hours in, only because I've been playing during lunch. So I used to come back to my room or my house at lunch, but too many people would be running their mouths with my sections. So I just eat and come right back to work, and then I just sit there and go through what's the region? Sinnoh? What's
In
X?
I can never remember
Sounds
the
right.
regions.
Sinnoh's 4. Sinnoh's Gen 4.
Oh, yeah,
That's Diamond
Emerald,
Pearl.
right? Diamond and Pearl.
What is X and Y? I can't remember.
So it's the France one.
Yeah.
Kalos.
Palos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's a good game, dude. I haven't played it since it
It
came out.
is, and I'm enjoying an hour goes by so fast when I play at lunch. But I'm gonna say this: the damn roller skates, driving me crazy, driving me fucking batshit crazy, because it's just I get it. That was their first, I think that was their first time doing it,
It was.
and trying to get straight was just I'm like, what am I
But
doing
can't
here?
you? Am I misremembering? Can't you take them off or use the D-pad
Well,
or something?
you could go to the D-pad, but it's so far down, bro.
Yeah.
It's like,
The
your
3DS
hands are
D-pad
like this.
sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say, fuck it, and so I use the D-pad, but no, it's good. And I did buy the Pokédex actually for X and Y. So yeah, having
Nice.
a good time with it.
That's
And
one
I
thing-
did I think I put in 2 hours before I just stopped playing on the PS5 of Monster Hunter. So I'm hoping
Sorry,
this weekend.
Sorry, really quick. When you say you bought the Pokédex, you mean the official guide to the game?
Mhm.
Hell yeah. Sorry, I wasn't sure. if that was something in the game that I didn't remember. Like, wait, you can buy the Pokédex
No,
and
no.
find out where everyone is. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's good.
It's a great game though, man. I definitely want to go back to it too at some point. I never finished. I finished all of the 3DS games except for the Sun and Moon games. I never finished those, and I played a good bit of Sun and loved it, but I never finished those up. So at some point, I'd like to go back to those too. But
Sun and Moon were really good. I think X and Y were the last ones that I really fell in love with, though. Like, I think all the other Pokemon games, they're pretty good. But X and Y, they were phenomenal, man. That was the first time that they went to the 3D version of Pokemon, and they were just so good. So good.
It felt like the last like serious Pokemon game. And like I mean that complimentary, where it was like, this is the final hardcore old style game that we're doing. Like Sword and Shield felt so streamlined in a way that like I couldn't get into, and then Violet and Scarlet felt too unwieldy in a way that I couldn't get into. And then Sun and Moon, I love just because the vibes were so chill. Like you weren't trying to become like the champ. There wasn't even like an Elite Four or whatever. There was like people you'd end up fighting in the end. But I love that it was just like you, like basically not even getting like your Pokemon badges. It felt like you were in like the Boy Scouts or something, and you were getting like survival badges to like enter society in that island chain. I love the vibes of that game. But X and Y, last like great mainstream traditional Pokemon game.
Yeah.
But you know what I find interesting is the games that are on the Switch. The first one that came out was the Let's Go games, right? And I mean, say what you will about the mechanics and stuff like that, but as far as graphically,
they're phenomenal.
They're phenomenal. It looks so good.
Yeah.
And the games just got worse after that. And I don't know what happened with the Pokemon games on the Switch. So
I've been saying it for years. I don't think Game Freak has the chops for it. They never had to worry about it, right? And then all of a sudden they decided they were going to go in the 3D space, which was a good idea, but they were, I don't know, a decade and a half late on it. And I just don't think they had, and they don't contract that out the way they should. So that's my opinion on it. I just don't think Game Freak has it in them to make like a beautiful open world game like that, dude. I was watching that trailer.
I was about to bring that up,
like the direct for like Legend Z, and I think that game does not look very good. I think it looks pretty bad actually. I don't know that I've ever been less hyped for like a Pokemon game than I am for Legend Z, and I was super excited when they first announced it. I'm like, oh, this is sweet. We're going back to like the X and Y area. But we're just in that city, and that's apparently all we're going to be in. And I'm just not about it,
dude. And I don't know. Yeah, I actually was going to bring that up because it was a good kind of transition point just to briefly mention that, because that happened after we last recorded. I had the same reaction. Like I watched it, and of course, this game has had so much extra development time because Scarlet and Violet came out. Was that 2022 or 2023?
2022, I think. I'm not sure.
I think it was 2022. I could be wrong, but anyway, point being, it'll have been 3 years since Scarlet and Violet came out, which admittedly is not long in modern development time. It is 2022, according to George.
Yep,
so
November 18th.
Admittedly, 3 years for like a major AAA game is not long in 2025, but still, compared to what they've been pumping out, it's considerably longer. And they just showed that footage, and I was like, damn, this does not look that different from Scarlet and Violet. I don't know. Maybe I need to go back and look at footage of those games, but it just looks the same. I was so disappointed. I was hoping for something more polished, and maybe it will be. But that trailer did absolutely nothing for me at all. In fact, I think it, to your point, Seth, I think it made me less interested than I was. So.
Yeah, for me, it just, I know it's like 9 months out, right? So... But it did. I mean, like, when has a Pokemon trailer looked good, though? You
True.
know? So,
I mean, to our point, though, like, the Let's Go games, those trailers looked good. The X and Y games, when those came out, it was groundbreaking. They looked good. Sword and Shield, I think Sword and Shield actually do look good. Like they're decent-looking Pokemon games. But once you get to like Arceus and they start messing with these open worlds where everything's just like empty and plain, and it's like, man, if you can't do this, go back. Everyone clamored for open world Pokemon games forever, but if you can't pull it off, go back to what we were doing with Sword and Shield.
No, it looks like Hyrule Field on 64. Like when you're in like the open areas in Sword and Shield, and like Coach, to your point, like, and Seth, you agreed, and Austin, I assume you do too. Like the Let's Go games fucking rock. Like I'm mad that they didn't keep. Like I understand like the Diamond and Pearl, Shining Diamond, Brilliant, whatever the fuck those games were called. Like that's great. But like, man, I kind of wish they just remade every game. Like if you're going, like it seemed like Nintendo was putting a flag down, being like, all right, from here on out, things are going to be more consolidated. We're not going to lock things behind generations. So re-release all these old games in this style. I thought like the Let's Go catching mechanics was fucking awesome for like how I wanted to play a game I've already played 30 times. Like going back and revisiting Red, Blue, and Yellow, it made it easy to collect all 150, which like honestly is all I really care about, is having like a complete Pokédex at this point. So do the same thing with Silver, like make the story what it was, but make like the catching and leveling mechanic easier and more fun and different, so I feel like I'm playing a tweaked game. And then do it again with Ruby, do it again with Pearl, do all that stuff. Like you don't have to, that's like one time where like game preservation, like no, just like if you want to have it both ways, do this and then re-release the DS version on Nintendo Switch Online or charge for it. I don't care. Like people are going to pay for Pokemon in a way that they won't pay for Donkey Kong Return. So that's why you include that in the service, right?
Yeah.
If they release Platinum or like maybe even Black and Black 2 or whatever, White and White 2, if they just release those on, let's say, Switch 2, or even, well, they could do it with this because Castlevania on the DS was ported there.
Yeah.
They would sell, like, Platinum would sell.
It would.
I honestly believe Platinum would sell. Those games would sell. All you got to do is, you don't have to do anything, just, optimize it for the system, make sure it's smooth, and just, I don't know.
Do that and give me like a meta Pokédex of every, like I assume we're over 1,000 Pokemon at this point.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
1,100 or something like that.
Give me a meta one where I can see that like I've across all these games that like in my Pokemon, whatever transfer portal, whatever it's called, that like I've caught them all. Like this is like literally to me stamp collecting at this point. Just let me see how cool my collection is.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I mean, I do hope the game is good. How do you guys feel? This is my last question on this, and then we can move on. Of course, the big thing in that trailer they showed off was the fact that now there's kind of like an ATB system where like the attacks are timed. It's not fully turn-based, and you can move around and like dodge the attacks as they're happening. I don't know. I had like, again, kind of a negative reaction when I saw that. I don't know how you guys felt about it.
Was it on the first game?
Was it in the first?
Arceus was like, yeah.
Okay, I never played that one.
Oh, really? You never played Arceus?
No.
Oh, it's pretty good. You should play it.
The first like 12 hours, I think, are really good in that game. First 10 hours, like I think it's like one of the strongest openings to a Pokemon in years. And then I kind of like with the boss fights, I kind of fall off. But
yeah,
okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll have to go back and play it. That's one of the few Switch games I don't have, so I need to.
It's very different, and it's very different in terms of like the battle system and the Pokemon collecting and stuff like that. I would recommend it because it is a breath of fresh air to the Pokemon formula. Because, like, for instance, you can set your attacks to like strong or fast, and like strong, I think it's like they launch them like at half speed, but it's twice as strong or something like that. It's pretty neat.
Interesting.
Yeah,
good to know.
Also, you'd love it because like the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, like when they go back in time, it's like that. You go back to like ancient Pokemon times where like they're figuring out Pokeball technology and all that.
I always wanted it. I always wanted to play it because it's my favorite region too. Diamond and Pearl were my first like Pokemon games that I really got into, and so Sinnoh like always has a special place in my heart, and I know that's kind of what that game is all about. So
sweet summer child.
Yeah. George, what have you had going on? What have you been up to this past few weeks?
I have gotten really into DVD and Blu-ray ripping. I am trying to digitize my entire like DVD and Blu-ray library, and I'm having fun with that. Learning how to use programs like Make MKV and Handbrake, getting proficient with that. Besides that, I've been playing a lot of Split Fiction. That's been super fun. Recommend that game highly. I don't know if you guys played It Takes Two. That game is phenomenal. This game is somehow better, which I wasn't expecting. And like, there's it's like basically you're on a writer's retreat at this place that can make your stories real. And it's supposed to be one person per tube that realizes their stories. And accidentally, two people get stuck in the same tube, and you got to work together to escape. But it's not sure whose stories to draw from. So there's one like sci-fi chick, and there's one fantasy chick, and their stories keep colliding, and you like bounce back and forth between their different worlds. There is one scene in the fantasy world where I'm just like, Fable won't look as good as this. Like, I don't understand how they were able to pull off this graphical magic with this game. And it's so cool because they'll introduce this insanely complex concept, and you know they're going to ditch it in 15 minutes and then just like move on to the next thing. Like, it is such an impressive level of confidence to make you hooked on something compelling and then find something new that's somehow more compelling. I like, the game's hilarious. I'm absolutely loving that, and I can't recommend it enough.
Nice. I really want to play it. Andie and I never finished It Takes Two. We got pretty far in it, but we got sidetracked with something, so we need to go back and finish that. But I did enjoy what we played of that, and I did like A Way Out as well. Their game before It Takes Two. I thought that was also really good. So this one looks excellent. But
I'm playing other stuff, but I'll say that for another episode. So,
all right.
I do have something to say though, George.
Please.
The key word was handbrake. So back in the day when the iPod came out and they started, having the you could put movies on there and stuff.
Yeah, iPod video, baby. Yeah.
Handbrake was the shit because you could take your movies and you could set them to like the iPod Classic or whatever.
Yeah.
And in the format so you could just sit there and you could watch it. So that program was fucking amazing. I love Handbrake back in the day.
I love Handbrake too. I had done that before. I had a couple movies saved on my iPad, which was like honestly amazing. Like before iPhones became supercomputers and they were just phones that could do like 20% more than any flip phone or like a Razr or anything. I had like The Dark Knight and Forgetting Sarah Marshall on my iPod. I miss having discrete devices. And like just the fact that the iPod became the entertainment thing, and then learning how to use Handbrake in college, and then exporting, it really was the best. And then there was this app back in the day called Snooty, which is iTunes spelled backwards, and everyone on my floor had it. So what you could do is basically just treat your iPod like a hard drive, plug it in. And this is back when like every iPod had like the 30-pin connector on it, like the super wide 1.5-inch long thing. And then you could just download everyone's music library and just immediately import it into your library. So like we went from having 800 songs, 1,100 songs one day to just having 6,000 songs. And like this was the first age of like excess. We're like, okay, I officially have more songs than I ever will listen to, than I ever could listen to. And then all of a sudden streaming came along and did like the same thing. So we got like a little preview of it early freshman year of college.
It was funner back then.
And so much more fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seth, what have you had going on, man?
Not a whole lot. Besides what we talked about earlier, I started playing Split Fiction like George with Caitlin. We've been having a pretty good time playing that. Haven't played it in a few days though, just because I've been so balls deep in monster hunting. Just absolutely nonstop playing that on my spare time. Not as much as you guys though. I mean, I am amazed at some of my friends playing Monster Hunter. Like my buddy Kyle from work got pretty much everything maxed out in like a few days. It seemed like. Austin, you and Andie have been putting some serious time into it. So, but yeah, I think I'm a respectable level 37 monster rank. And
I was going to say, you're still pretty far. Like, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, like I said, I played World and Rise a lot, apparently without knowing literally anything about the game. But yeah, I'm having a good time playing them. And I will say, there is some weird design choices with the game. A few things that I have an issue with are the fact that they created like this massive open world. These open zones. It's not really an open world design. It's more like open zones, but it's extremely detailed, extremely they're extremely deep as far as like there's different levels, but they don't give you any real reason to explore it. I like you, Austin. I'm conflicted because I don't miss having to track down monsters in the world design. But also, there's something to be said for the fact that I just get on my not chocobo, my sacred, and it takes me straight to the monster. And I'm like, well, I feel like there's a middle ground that maybe we're skipping over here.
Yeah.
You know, like it feels odd that they created this world and I have no incentive whatsoever to even pay attention to it.
It's so annoying, man. Like, you'll be on it and then like you'll try to veer off. You're like, well, at the very least, like, I'll pick up some of this mineral over here or this plant or whatever in case I need it. And then if you like get too far from like the path, it's just like, no, you can't. I'm like, let me pick up that weird little fucking fruit or I'm gonna lose my mind, you know? Like,
Well, like, and then there's that too, which I think the missions you're talking about, George, are like the story missions that it forces you on rails. And these people in this story never shut the fuck up. It's crazy to me. I understand that they're trying to onboard a bunch of people to Monster Hunter, but if you're gonna make a story to onboard people, it's gotta be like halfway decent. And I just found myself not caring whatsoever about the story in any way. I don't like any of the characters except for Alma. I think she's fun. I like that she helps me out and she picks up things for me and she hangs out with me.
Dude,
I like her. But like that Nada kid.
Nada is the worst character.
Hey man, he's been through a lot, okay? He doesn't know where his village is. He doesn't know where the keepers are. No one seems to know who the keepers are. I'm not very far in the story, as you can tell. But like, he's going through it right now. And Seth, to follow up your point before we let King Monster Hunter himself chime in, if you're gonna make a game or a story to onboard people, make sure you actually fucking onboard them, because this game is not doing that.
Yeah, I think they would have, in my opinion, it would have been more valuable instead of focusing so heavily on like these scripted scenes and stuff in the first like 15 hours. I think it would have been far more valuable to like teach people how to play the game, not focus on like literally Pokemon Snap sections.
Yeah.
What do you mean by
says
that?
Mom and Dad are here to guide child Seth. That's how I feel.
So the sections George is talking about, Coach, there are points where you're on your sacred, your bird, and like the people are talking and you can't move. Like you're just stuck on this bird as it's walking and you just look around like pulling items.
Okay.
And that's all you can do for like several minutes is they're just walking through the environment talking. And
you can move like 3 to 5 feet outside of the path, but the second you go to 8 to 10 feet, it's like, hey, we're over here. It's like, yeah, I know. I'm actually like not that fucking far away from you. I just saw a honeycomb and I know I can make health potions with honeycombs. So do you mind if I grab this fucking honeycomb? Because like clearly we're going to fight another goddamn monster soon. It'd be really nice to have some extra health.
Yeah, well,
no, I'll just go fuck myself then. It's fine. Whatever.
It's like, I actually don't care what you guys are saying whatsoever. I would just like to go over here and explore a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is that if that was all the game was, or if it didn't have such a compelling gameplay, I would be out, you know. But the Monster Hunter formula is largely unchanged. They did add some cool stuff here and there. I love the wound system. I think the wound system is phenomenal. It adds a lot of cool moments to the monster, the hunting fights, and I'm having a blast now that because once you get halfway through the game and you get past the low rank and you get essentially pretty much done with the overall story, it seems that those kind of scenes just stop happening. There's still a story going on, but it's generally a bunch of people being like, something's wrong here. Probably a monster down there we should kill. And it's like, okay, let's go do it. That's essentially how the story's moving on at this point in the high rank. It's like pretty much the gist of it. But yeah, I'm having a blast. Like I said, I think there's a few weird design choices. I think World or Rise also did this, and it really annoys me, where when you have a buff, your whole character glows red. And it's getting really annoying to me because
So
I just want to see how my character looks, and then like he just continuously just glows red, and I'm like, all right.
I thought my character was like poisoned or something. Like I kept like checking for status effects that were like negative because I'm like, why would my character be glowing red if something good happened? Like I understand like the Goku aura, whatever, but that's not how I've been trained to play games.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't think that's an old thing. I'm pretty sure it's new to this game. I've always kind of ignored it if it's there, but I've seen a lot of people complaining about it, which leads me to believe this is something that's only in this game. I agree.
I got cool armor. I want to see it.
It drives me insane. I wish there was like at least a setting in the options to like turn that off if you'd like.
Yeah.
Good God, they give you every single other possible option you could ever want to change, except for that. So, yeah, but no, to your point, Seth, and just to continue on this conversation, of course, that's the main thing I've been playing. It's been out for 2.5 weeks. I just checked my Steam. It says I've played 64 hours. So I am like HR 70, I think. I'm completely done with like the 6 chapters. And now Andie and I as well. She's also finished it. We're both in like end game content. So
is she playing right now?
She is.
Right behind you. Yeah, okay.
But I think it's phenomenal. I definitely agree with the complaints that you guys have brought up. I certainly. Here's the thing, like Monster Hunter is definitely my favorite series of all time at this point, but there's no perfect Monster Hunter game still, in my opinion. I mean, they all have their issues. I just still completely adore them for various reasons, but this game certainly does not like follow the exception or whatever. Like it definitely has problems.
I think I actually just bought the perfect Monster Hunter game on Switch, which was Monster Hunter Stories Collection 1 and 2. I've heard good things. I've heard real good
games.
Things.
They're good. Yeah.
So you know what was interesting for me was with Dynasty Warriors, your regular attack was the X button, and then the triangle was your strong button, your strong attack. But with Monster Hunter, it's 90 degrees shifted.
Yeah, triangle and circle.
And that just threw me in for a loop. Maybe I'm an old man. I don't know what it was, but going through and defeating that first monster, right? So many times I put my fucking weapon away. Because isn't that circle? You put your weapon away, circle?
No. Square.
Square. Okay, square. Yeah, square. Sorry. Yeah, square. So I don't know how many times I put my weapon away when I'm fighting this the monster, but I availed. Yeah. I won, but it's just like, okay, I have Dynasty Warriors, like it's imprinted in my brain. So
well, at some point the four of us need to play. I was telling George before we started doing the podcast that I really feel, and this really for you two specifically, I definitely feel that Monster Hunter, there's a great Monster Hunter community, and I think having someone who knows more about the game and has experience with the game kind of get you through those beginning phases. It's like getting past the initial hill. You kind of have to have somebody or like a tutorial or something that is helping you through that initial beginning stages. And I definitely felt that. Like when I first played Try, which was my first Monster Hunter game on Wii like 15 years ago at this point, I definitely did not understand it for like the first 20 hours, 25 hours. And even then, like I don't even think I still fully understood Try at the time, having played, several hundred hours of it. I think there was so much I didn't know because I wasn't really paying attention. So it's a deep game. It's a deep series.
What were you were going to say something earlier, Austin, about some of the stuff that you don't like about the game?
Oh yeah. Well, let me just say first off, I mean, on a positive standpoint, I think it's excellent overall. I think the gameplay is like the best it's ever been. Like no question. I agree with you, Seth. The wound system is excellent. I mean, I certainly miss the wire bugs from Rise, but that's like a whole different conversation. But I think overall, like the weapons all feel great. There's so many different things you can do with them now, like the new perfect block mechanic. Only certain weapons can do it, but you can perfect block and like do these new moves that were never available before, and they really kind of reworked each weapon to make them more just high speed. But there are a few things. I think that as far as major complaints for me go, aside from what you guys already mentioned about like the world and like the sacred auto taking you to the monster and it not really enticing you to explore, I definitely agree with that. I think if I could like nail one thing in particular, it would be the fact that the multiplayer system is still just garbage. It works. Like you can definitely get it to work, and it does work, but it's so complicated. It's needlessly complicated still. And in fact, I feel like it's more complicated than it was in World 7 years ago, 6 years ago at this point. And I don't know why they decided to make it even worse than it already was. So there are like multiple different ways you can play with friends now. There's a link party, which is basically like you're in a party and you can post quests together, but then they've also got an environmental link, which you have to join separately if you want to go out and explore the world together and not do quests. Which I'm like, what's the point of that? Why just make it a party system? Why do we have to have two different parties? And then of course you've got like squads, which are your guilds, and your like invite a friend feature, which only works if you're on the same platform, and like all this nonsense that they just really need to streamline. It was nowhere near this bad in Rise or in World, and I have no idea why they decided to complicate it so much. So that, on top of the fact that, and George and Seth, you guys and Coach, I'm sorry, probably haven't noticed this so far because you haven't really played with people, but they returned to the system from World for the story missions, meaning if you're in the same point of the story, like Andie and I played through the whole game together, we did every quest together. So let's say, the two of you are both on the starting monster and you're going through simultaneously, each one in a chain. Each of you have to join your own single player quest of that monster, both get to the monster in that quest, and then both back out of the quest after you get to the cutscene and rejoin.
Oh, that's so bad. Oh, that's so bad.
And here's the thing, though, that drives me insane. That's there, yet they have all these freaking cutscenes in the first 15 hours. It's like, well, why are you focusing so heavily on the story, but you're making it harder for people to play together?
Dude, yeah. Okay, I didn't mention I played this game. I played a bunch of this game this weekend just because, like, out of respect to Austin and Seth, like, I know these guys love this game. I know nothing about this game, so I was excited to check it out.
Yeah.
Hearing all these things about how friendly this game was to newcomers to the series, I was really excited. I call bullshit. Two, like, the camp makes the game feel like an MMO, like a free-to-play MMO. Like, I'm getting flashbacks to when I downloaded, like, was it Black Desert Online back in 2015 on Xbox or whatever, 2017 on Xbox. And I'm not trying this, but like it kind of cheapens the experience where it just feels like you're introduced to hundreds is an exaggeration. You're introduced to too many mechanics too quickly where they don't even really do a good job of explaining stuff. And then they'll do like a 4-part pause screen to be like, you can use this to build health potions, all that. And it's like, I don't even have time to like internalize that because I'm already like learning the next thing. It feels like it should have been a free to play game whenever I'm in the camp. When I'm actually fighting monsters, it's definitely more fun. But like, there's just little decisions that kind of take the fun away from it where it's like, this is just me as like a mostly newbie. Like I said, I played a couple hours of Try, but that was 15 years ago. I was in college and not really paying that much attention. But like just seeing like the timer of like how long it took me to beat the frog in the first mission, it's like, oh, 3:55. I was like, I didn't know I was being timed. Is that important? Like, is that like a big deal that it took me 3:55 as opposed to
not anymore
or 5:55? Well, no, but it's just like, does this matter, or is this just like? It's just like dick measuring stuff for your friends that you compare stats to. And I don't know if I chose like a bad setup. I'm doing sword and shield just because like I tried out all the weapons and like the big heavy ones that do like attacks that look honestly like so much fun. Like it looks like the weird video game shit that like I want to be doing. It just feels bad to swing a giant sword in that game. To me, as someone who's coming at it completely new. But then I have like the sword and shield, and like I barely like I bet if I fucking sneezed on this thing, it would do more damage than me swinging my sword at it.
It's actually one of the highest DPS weapons in the game.
Okay, not for me, not yet. And it just like there's just so much going on that like I understand that a huge part of this game is the multiplayer component, but awesome, based on what you're saying, like they haven't figured that shit out yet.
Well,
like but the partying up, the partying up, at least like the setup for it.
Here's
like,
the thing though, George,
of playing together.
I agree with what you're saying for this game, but they did figure it out, because in Rise it was flawless. They had just rooms that you would join with other people. You would go on quests together. You could all join a single player quest and watch the cutscene together. And they reverted back to how it was previously, like prior to Rise for this game. I don't know why. Why would they do that?
Dumb.
I don't know.
You telling those stories makes me think of like when they were talking about Street Fighter 4 when it first came out. Like, yeah, everyone knows they got bad net code. Yeah, it's the net code. It's just bad. I'm like, fuck, did they accidentally download their bad net code again and use it for this game? Is that what happened? He says knowing absolutely nothing about nets or codes. But like, no, like this game is like inherently fun when you're playing what the game wants you to care about. But it's like all the homework you have to do to get to the interesting part of the game. Yeah. As a newcomer, I'm just like, fuck, this sucks. Like this feels like a job in a way that I'm not immediately grabbing onto. And I think it is going to be like Destiny. With Destiny, I never did a raid without someone who'd already done the raid 4 times. I never jumped into anything incredibly complicated. I do like the little fire team shit, like the 3 players, like the strikes or whatever. I could do that on my own. I could do that for the first time, but I would never do a raid. And it just kind of feels like, fuck, I need Austin to hold my soft, delicate little hand as we go through this together.
If I may, George.
Oh, go ahead, Seth.
As someone who started Monster Hunter in one of the more recent games, which is World, I really think that Wilds is easy enough that you can learn it like a board game. Just jump in with your sword and shield and stop worrying about how deep the mechanics go. And you can really get through the low rank story stuff because it's easy enough by just jumping in, dodging the monster's attacks and hitting it over and over again, and using your potions when you're low and upgrading your equipment as you go. That's realistically, I mean, that's essentially what I did in Wilds. And only when you get to the high rank do you have to start worrying about more like elemental statuses and whatnot, because then it matters. But in low rank, I think what they were trying to do was ease you into the game with easy monsters to teach people, but they failed at that. Yeah. But I do think that you can learn as you go on the way by like accidentally stumbling upon different ammo types, by accidentally stumbling upon things through your menu. Is it the best way to teach people? Probably not. But at the same time, I'm like, the veterans would not be happy if these games had less deep mechanics. The newbies are not going to be happy with the deep mechanics. So there's really no way to win.
Sure.
And I think that finding out how to teach people all the depth of this game is a really massive challenge. That doesn't really give them an excuse, but I don't understand how they could possibly do it to a brand new person. Yeah. I think the best way to do it is to just jump in and just be like, all right, I got my sword, I got my shield, I know how to guard, I know how to attack, I know how to dodge. I'm going in. Like,
I gotta be honest, I don't know how to guard. I just dodge and run away from everything.
R2.
I don't know how to guard either because I don't guard.
R2. Okay.
Yeah, R2 will be your guard button. But yeah, I agree with Seth. The game, and it's such a fascinating series because I just want to go back to what I said before. There is a hill that you have to pass over to understand Monster Hunter. And I heard somebody compare the series to like fighting games recently, and I think that's accurate. You know, it gets a lot of comparison with MMOs, but I think the actual skill and like what you pick up over time, it is more akin, in my opinion, to fighting games where you're really learning the different ways your weapon works and the ways the monsters show you, you know, how they're going to attack and how you should be reacting. There is a fighting dance there, for lack of a better word. George, you're going to say something?
I didn't mean like the MMO comparison as a derogatory. I meant like
No.
literally just when you're in camp, about how
Yeah.
there's like all these different vendors to go to. There's
Right.
8 billion different currencies for you to think about in the
Yeah.
back of your head. And like, I don't think I'm at the point where like I can choose the hunt I need to get the currency I need to upgrade the armor to what I want. Like I'm not there yet. So like I understand that that's to come, but it's just like, fuck, man, there's like so much to think about, and like I kind of just want to go out and stab monsters.
Yeah.
Also, man, the death animations of these monsters, fucking horrendous. Like, I feel like I'm the monster all along when I see like these crying. Was it the chematris, the fire chicken thing?
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm the bad guy. Yeah. Oh, you're in your home hiding, and I'm just gonna stab you repeatedly. Like, yeah, I'm the shit heel. My bad.
But I understand what you're saying though. First off, I agree with that. It's seeing them die. It's like, oh, sorry about that.
Yeah,
But,
feel like a dick.
So Seth was saying he thinks the easiest way is to just go at it, and I think the only way you can really, aside from having somebody like me or like Seth kind of teach you about the game and have a round to ask questions to as you're playing, really the only way you can get over the hill with Monster Hunter, in my opinion, is just sinking time into it. I think you really just have to go at it. And the thing is with this game, it is easier to do that. This was the last thing I was going to bring up, going to what Seth was saying about simplifying the game and how veterans would feel about it. This game has sparked a little bit of a controversy in the community because of how easy it is. Now, for the beginner players, it's certainly a good thing because it gives people like you, George, again, the opportunity to just go at the game, forget about like your gems and your charms and elemental weaknesses and all that stuff, and just go at a monster. I think that's great. But then you've got people, and I'm not one of them, but people that are way, way, way hardcore Monster Hunter that don't like the game because of how easy the monsters are compared to Rise and World. I don't really feel like that's a valid opinion, because when you get to the end of the game, to the end game where the real stuff starts popping up, I mean, I got freaking demolished by a monster the other day, one of the end game monsters. And so that challenge is still there for me. But it's fascinating to see like people's opinions on the series and where it should lie as far as like how streamlined it should be, how complicated it should be, how easy it should be, how hard it should be. I don't think there's a specific place. I think they're trying to figure that out. But I do agree with what Seth said, that doesn't excuse them from not teaching new people how to play the game. That is something they have never figured out how to do. And I don't know if they will figure out how to do, to be honest with you. I mean, it's been 25 years and they still don't know what to do as far as introducing new people.
I think it's got to be what you talked about. Like the game is growing every release, right? Like, what was the concurrent players it hit?
Oh, it was
for
ridiculous.
Wilds?
I don't even know, but it was a lot.
How many more times was it than?
It was like 2 or 3 times what World had.
So like the game is growing at this seemingly exponential rate. And so hopefully everyone does have a friend who already plays. Like, I think that's the key. I also think that's frankly like fucking weak sauce. You know, like you gotta have something better. Also, this isn't like an exclusive Monster Hunter complaint. I guess I like don't really play a lot of Japanese games, or at least as many as I thought I did. Because man, first like 40 minutes, I felt like I barely touched the controller. Like there was just like so much expository drop-in stuff. And I don't hate Nada yet because I haven't had to hang out with Nada too much. I kind of hate Yasai, but that's beside the point. That's whatever. But like, bro, if a game's called Monster Hunter, let me hunt some fucking mons out the gate. Although
Yeah.
it was pretty sweet seeing like the sandworms and then my character just jumping off the side of the boat and then wrangling the legally distinct chocobo.
I named mine not Chocobo.
That's a good
I
name.
named mine Chocobo.
I will say this: the series producer Ryuji Tsujimoto, he's been like the producer for quite a while now. I think since World. He might have produced 4 as well, but he came out the other day and said he thinks that this game is so successful because of its focus on story. And when I read that, I was like, ugh.
Nope.
Please
Miss
don't.
there, but
Please.
Also, you guys were asking the peak players was 1.38 million concurrent.
Oh.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they sold almost 10 million or something in 3 days, if I remember
Yeah,
right.
That's just on
Massive number.
Steam, right?
Yeah, that's just on Steam.
Wow.
So yeah, we've been complaining a lot, but I just want to reiterate, like overall, I think the game's phenomenal. I don't know where I would put it on my Monster Hunter ranking. I'm like, it's too soon for me to say it's my favorite because I don't think it is, but I don't know where I'd compare it to like World and Rise and 4. I think I might still put World above Wilds, but I'm not sure. I don't. I'll have to think on that over time, but I do still think it's a really good game.
Do you need?
They're all pretty even for me.
Do you need a big crew? Like, is it like Destiny? How like you need 6 to do a raid? Like, do you need 6 to do it, or like could you and Andy tackle the end game by yourselves? Or
absolutely.
You by yourself.
You can do it by yourself. You can absolutely do it by yourself. So the way the game works, and they changed this in World. No, it was Rise. They changed it in. The monsters scale based off how many people are in the quest. So if it's one person, it scales down to match that person versus 4, the health will scale up.
That sucks.
So
like that should be like
outpace people though.
Well, that should be like how in Destiny, like you could do like normal or hard, kind of do like you could choose it. It's like, man, what if I just want to fucking dome some monsters with the boys? Like what if I just want to go in and just go rat-a-tat on them? But like, last question for me, because we're getting a little long in the tooth here, and I miss hearing Coach's voice. Do you think this series deserves is a weird word. Do you prefer this series as like a console PC sit down experience like that? Like a more cinematic presentation, or do you think that this series is better as like a mobile handheld type deal?
I don't know what my answer would be, to be honest with you, because I think it's 2 distinctive styles, at least, that they've kind of set out on. Like Rise definitely feels more like a handheld game, even though it's now on, consoles and PC. Rise, compared to World, and certainly this game, it feels so much more streamlined. So if you're just looking at the way the series operates, I like them both. I like both styles. I like the more handheld oriented, like quick fights and crazy things they're trying. Like again in Rise, they had the wire bugs, which are like the grappling hook things that you could just like fly around on and that sort of thing. But I do like the way Wilds and World are, where they're very expansive and like just really beautiful games for the most part. Although Wild certainly has some visual issues that we haven't mentioned. But I don't know if I could answer that, George, to be honest with you. I think both styles work for Monster Hunter. For the longest time, I would have said portable. I loved playing 3 Ultimate, and 4 Ultimate on 3DS. Those were like the games where I really just like nailed into that series. I played a lot of Tri on Wii, but 3 Ultimate and 4 Ultimate on 3DS were the ones where I really just like really, really, really got into the series and figured out how to properly play it. Mm-hmm. So that might be why I'm still like fond of that handheld format, but I don't know. I like them both.
Okay. Would you recommend the 3DS titles to
4
anybody?
4 Ultimate I would absolutely still recommend in 2025. I actually, after whenever I come down off my Wilds high, I have been thinking about figuring out how to emulate 4 so I can play it like on a larger screen and go back to it. Because I think from a quality standpoint, actually, and you'll hear this from a lot of people in the Monster Hunter community, those that are really into the series, that game is typically described as the best in the series. And I think I'd agree with that, just from like a content perspective. It has a great list of monsters. The story is actually good in 4, and it doesn't force it down your throat. Like, you can certainly skip it if you want to, but if you pay attention to it, it actually is compelling. So if you're going to go back and play any of the older ones, I think aside from Generations, which was also excellent, it has a crazy monster list, by the way. Wilds has 28 monsters, and Generations has 93.
Wait, sorry. 28 monsters. So, like, I killed the frog and I killed the Chematrice. So I have 26 more monsters to kill.
Correct.
That feels light. Okay.
It is a little light.
I'm sure it's good, but it feels light.
It is a little light. That's another complaint a lot of people have had, but it's about the same as World when it came out. So World, I think, had 1 or 2 more. But anyway, point being, 4 Ultimate has a great list of monsters too. So if you're going to go back to any of them, I would say that's the one if you're trying the older games. But
wait, you said 2 different games there, because now I'm confused. Are you talking about
so Generations?
Or are you talking about Generations?
Generations has the 93 roster list, so I'm just saying that's another good one to go back to as well. But if you're really trying to choose one, I would say 4 Ultimate. I think that's overall the best.
Did Generations get a release on Switch?
It did.
Was it an upgrade, or is it almost like just a port?
It's good. It runs, I think, at 60 frames compared to 3DS, which was 30, and they added a few new monsters to it. So,
did you play handheld or mainly?
A little of both. I did a good amount handheld with that game because Andie and I played it together, so we would just like sit on the couch and play it. But yeah, that's a good game too. But yeah, not to continue the conversation, but George, just to go back briefly to the roster. It is a little small. That's been a key complaint in the community as well, is the monster roster on Wilds is a little smaller than people were hoping for. But they have already announced several title updates, and with each of those, we'll get new monsters. So there's already a new monster coming out next month for the game. And this is all free updates they never do paid updates. So if it's like World and Rise were before the expansion releases, we should have like 5 additional monsters that they add into the game for free. So there will be more.
Also, like I said, I'm clearly very early into the game. I've only killed 2 monsters. Do I fight in places besides deserts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are like 5 regions, I think. 4 or 5.
Well, because like from what I remember of Try, I was just like, I remember being in like this really cool jungle area that actually had like levels to it that felt like it had height and verticality to it. So sweet. We'll find a time this weekend you can stream it, or you cannot stream it. But I would love to get together and you could just.
I would too. I'll
hold my hand and walk me through this stuff.
I'm not
excited to. Yes, sorry. I don't mean to exclude you, Coach.
No. I just say we'll hold hands.
You guys, you two can hold hands, and then I'll hold like one of each of your hands.
Perfect. Okay. Ring around the rosy.
And then we'll all circle Seth.
Seth will be in the middle.
Yeah, Seth,
like
Seth
beautiful vultures. Cool. I want to get into this game. There has to be something to it. It wouldn't pop off slowly the way it has for the last 20 years if there wasn't something to it, and then hugely in the past 5 years, right? Like when did Rise come out? That was like 2018, 2019? Or Ice
Rise
World,
was probably
like
2020. I honestly don't remember. But yeah,
it wouldn't be having this meteoric success if there wasn't something to it. I haven't gotten there yet, so I would like to peek under the hood with people who know. So
insane story. I know we're dragging this on, but a friend of the podcast, Joe Valley, his little son, Ty, I think he was probably about 6 or 7. I hung out with them at their house one weekend, and he was mastering, like literally mastering worlds. Like he had it memorized. This little kid was just, I was so impressed with him. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good, man. It's such a good series. And I understand the complaints from people like George, starting it for the first time. And I do feel for them. Because I definitely was at that point when I first started. Like when I first played Try, it just did not click with me at all. But I do encourage anyone playing it, if you're not enjoying it, I know this is the worst thing you'd possibly want to hear, but seriously stick with it and just try to power your way through, and you will figure it out over time. Because once you get past that hill, like it is one of the most exhilarating games you could possibly play. I mean, there's really nothing like it. It's got the complexity of a Souls game, but also again the format in a way of a fighting game where you can learn the monsters and learn how they're going to react and what they do. And again, the grind is awesome. I mean, just like upgrading your gear and getting parts. It's got that like RPG element to it as well. So it's got everything I could ask for, but I'm someone with like institutional knowledge at this point. Going into Wilds, I definitely have a biased view because I have such an experience with the series compared to someone trying it for the first time. So it's good though, man. I love it. So I know we're going a little long here. Anything else you guys want to add on or talk about for the final portion here?
I can't figure out how to guard against the final boss's big attack, and it's frustrating me. That's all I gotta say.
Okay.
Where he charges up and he's like, "Let's out a nuclear bomb." I'm like, I have tried running away. I don't know where I'm supposed to hide. I can't figure it out.
We'll talk about it. I don't even know if I know which attack you're talking about.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Austin's too good. He doesn't get to that point in like the fight. He
kills it immediately.
He just doesn't have to deal with it. Actually, he just looks at the monster funny, and then the monster actually pulls out a Glock and kills itself.
Chuck Norris learned how to play Monster Hunter from Austin.
Yeah.
Dude, the funny thing is though, like, yeah, I would consider myself well experienced with the series at this point, but I was mentioning Team Darkside earlier. I think this was before we were recording, but they're a group of speedrunners that play Monster Hunter. I'll have to send you guys some of their videos because they will go through and just like obliterate like the hardest possible monsters you could fight in like 30 seconds. Like they will somehow figure out how to max their gear and like perform moves to the utmost efficiency that they will literally take like a normally 10-minute fight and condense it to 20 to 30 seconds. It's insane. So there are definitely people out there that know far more about it than me, but I think that goes to show you the complexity and how deep you can go with it if you want. But all right, guys, I say we end it there.
Woo.
Good episode.
Was a good episode, and I know that you had a topic you really want to talk about. I vote we talk about that next week.
Something related to that.
Yeah.
Right there. Look at that. Audio
I think I got
listeners
the
will
green
never
one.
know. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for listening if you've been around, and it was good chat with you guys. We'll be back. I'm not even going to say next week, but we'll be back at some point.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Frameskip. Don't forget you can find the show on social media at FrameskippPod. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also follow us each individually on Twitter. George is at Shortbox Summary, Seth is at Seth the 90s Kid, and I, Austin Eller, am at Austin J. Eller on Twitter. If you've got a question, comment, or topic you'd like to hear discussed on the next episode of Frameskip, you can do so by submitting it to us on social media. Email us at frameskippodcast@gmail.com or visit bit.ly/frameskipq. That's bit.ly/frameskipq. The show is typically live on YouTube every week, either on Tuesday or Wednesday. You can find our YouTube channel at bit.ly/frameskiplive. Don't forget to subscribe and be notified when we do go live, typically at about 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.